color presentation on the Hughes Sports Network. Gary Dickinson, who is in 5th place, will meet the bowler in the 4th spot, Johnny Petraglia. And the winner will meet Mike McGrath, who is 3rd in the standings. The winner of that match will meet Don Johnson, the bowler, in 2nd place. And that winner meets Larry Lobb, who is the qualifying leader for the championship in the Brunswick World Open. From the Brunswick Northern Bowl in Glendale Heights, Illinois, brought to you by Brunswick, the people who put the bowl back in bowling with the amazing automatic scorer, so you'll never have to keep score again. By Firestone, the name that is known is Firestone, where the rubber meets the road. By Miller High Life, the beer that tastes fresh and clear glass after glass. Remember, if you've got the time, we've got the beer, Miller Beer. And by King Louis, manufacturers of the world's finest bowling apparel. You look better, feel better, and even bowl better with King Louis' famous shirts and Lift True Bowler's Aids. Hello, I'm Kyle Roach, and this is the final round of the Brunswick World Open, one of bowling's newest and biggest tournaments, with a total prize money of $85,000, first prize money $12,000. 168 of the top professional bowlers started in this tournament last Monday, and now we have the 5 leaders remaining to battle it out for the championship. And with me today as our color man is the great Hall of Fame bowler and former Masters champion and the president of the Professional Bowlers Association, Buzz Fazio. And Buzz, it looks like we have a real super match for this final.
Not true, Kyle, and we got a great lineup here, and I'm sure looking for a wonderful match with each and every one of them.
Well, we've got a great lineup, and we'll be right back with the Brunswick World Open right after this message.
The ball, Brunswick's custom LTD, the finest bowling ball in the world. The bowler, Pro Dave Sutar, 3-time All-American. Put them together. The ball, Brunswick's custom LTD, custom top weights to help raise your score. The bowler, Joe Lindstrom, just a guy who loves bowling. Put them together.
Even if you're not a pro, bowl with the best. Brunswick's custom LTD.
Hey, that's my ball, too.
Shouldn't it be yours?
Come on, Mom, your shot. Okay, give me some room, boys.
Okay, what's this one?
There. Not bad, Dad.
Hey!
I love this game, Harry.
I love our Brunswick table.
Really the best, Dad?
It's what the pros use. Think your mom could make those shots in any other?
Brunswick billiard tables. Some pros can't wait to get them home.
Once again, this is Kyle Rote along with Buzz Fazio, bringing you the final action of the Brunswick World Open. 5 finalists: Larry Lobb, Don Johnson, Mike McGrath, Johnny Petraglia, and Gary Dickinson, having finished in that order with Larry Lobb resting in the number 1 spot. It all began on Monday. 168 top professionals bowling 24 qualifying games, 8 games on Monday, 8 on Tuesday, 8 on Wednesday. And I think we're now getting ready for our first match. This is Gary Dickinson bowling against Johnny Petraglia. Dickinson finishing in the 5th spot. Petraglia chose to finish up on alley number 21. So Dickinson has started going for a spare in the first frame. Well, Buzz Fazio.
I think he reached a little bit too far on that one, Kyle. I think it looked to me like he was kind of uncertain because the first ball he threw, he laid it awful short.
How difficult is it to get used to the lanes as you step up, even though you've had a few practice rolls?
Well, it isn't the question of that. It's just a matter of trying to get started in a hurry, and a lot of times you run into trouble like that.
Johnny Petraglia. Opening with a beautiful strike. Petraglia, of course, going for Bowler of the Year honors, and we might mention this quite early. Petraglia, Don Johnson, both competing for the Bowler of the Year honors.
Yeah, I believe that the one that's really comes out on top here between Johnson and Petraglia automatically will be Bowler of the Year.
hook shot coming right up into the pocket beautifully. You know, he mentioned to me once before, Buzz, that he changed his line yesterday for a little bit. It looks like he's figured it out quite early today.
What it looks to me like, before said he was getting a lot of roll on the ball, and now it looks to me like he's really reaching out with that ball, and that way the ball won't get away. And this fella has to really ball, and he's got to win, because he's the only one that's not eligible for the Firestone Tournament of Champions. And Gary's really got a lot of pressure on him.
And he's bowling against the defending champion of the Tournament of Champions at Firestone, Johnny Petraglia. Dickinson, 28 years old, makes his home in Fort Worth, Texas. What happens there? Does he hit it just a little heavy and it kicks the...
Actually, there was nothing on the ball, Kyle. If the ball has got any lift or roll to it, it'll cover all 4 pins. And that's the reason he left that 7-pin. He told me he was having trouble because the lanes weren't, he was as used to them as they were during the qualifying. And the lanes do change from day to day.
And hitting the pocket very thin. He's actually going into this third frame about, I think, 38, 40 pins behind.
And as you notice, he's really thinking out there because he's laid a ball. He's reached exceptionally far like he did here. The one that he went to cover the spare, he did not put anything in.
And he picked it up. Ray Dickinson. Spare in the third. And now Johnny Petraglia. 2 frames, 2 strikes. To be on lane 22.
He sets himself so well. You can watch the concentration.
Now, there was a shot that hit right in the pocket. It looked like it would have been a strike. It looked like the other 2 shots he threw.
It really looks good out there, but still, nevertheless, from here, it looks like it's fantastic. You know, the ball was put solid in the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it broke just a little bit late, and naturally, that 4-pin flew right around that 7.
Now, with a bowler like Johnny Petraglia, spare in the third, 49 in the second, working on a spare.
31 pins up.
Gary Dickinson watching Johnny Petraglia, the man he's got to beat to stay in this tournament. Well, it looked like he had it figured out on the first 2 rolls, and now he's having a little trouble finding that pocket. He seems to really work that ball tremendously, Buzz.
He does have a lot of work on the ball, but that one he laid it very short, and actually the ball broke too soon for him. That caused it to go high on the headpin.
And Petraglia picks up his spare. And we'll be right back with the Brunswick World Open right after this message.
Unfortunately, your new 1972 Winter is almost ready for delivery. Fortunately, a new Firestone tire that will change the way you feel about winter driving is ready for delivery now. Firestone stops you cold, starts you cold, helps you steer your way through winter weather. New Firestone asymmetrical town and country tires. The winter tire with 3 separate treads. An open traction section to help you start or stop. Center Z-bars for stability and mileage. A stable traction section to help your steering control. Adding up to a wide tread that holds a 1/3 more ice-gripping studs than any tire we've made before. These new tires are designed for front wheels, too, to give you even more steering and stopping control on ice. Winter always has a few surprises for you. This year, get Firestone asymmetrical town and country tires from your Firestone dealer or store, and you'll have a few surprises for winter.
You know, this is the first tournament in history that's been scored automatically with Brunswick's great new, automatic score.
And we're back here with Johnny Petraglia out in front of Gary Dickinson right now. Dickinson with 18 pins in the second frame, working on a spare in the third. Petraglia with 68 pins in the third, working on a spare in the fourth. This is Gary Dickinson, bowling now in the fourth, working on a spare. And he is right up into the pocket, and the 10-pin stays up. Dickinson picking up 9 pins. It'll be 37 in the third.
That was his best shot of the tournament so far today, Kyle. And I think from here on you'll probably see an altogether different bowler.
And he picks it up. Dickinson with a spare in the fourth. Dickinson with a spare in the fourth. He has 37 in the third. Petraglia well ahead now, Buzz. If Dickinson's going to get going, he's got to go this frame.
Yeah, it's 31 pins behind, Kyle. I think this is about the frame he's got to start moving. He looks good.
A little thin. Dickinson, despite this being only his third TV appearance, among the leading money winners, and as you pointed out earlier, he's the only one of today's finalists looking for his first victory on the tour this year. Should he win, of course, that would make him eligible for that Tournament of Champions in April. And he picks it up. Gary Dickinson with a spare in the fifth. He has 53 pins through the fourth, working on a spare in the fifth. Johnny Petraglia, he is 68 pins through the third with a spare in the fourth. He really lays it out to that outside. Came in too high. And in that left corner for a left-hander with such a working ball as Johnny has, Buzz, that's a pretty difficult shot of all of them for him.
Not exactly, Kyle, because it's a more normal shot for him. The thing is that he's not reaching like he was the first two frames. But he's actually at home on that angle.
Petraglia now picks up his spare in the fifth. He has 86 pins through the fourth, the spare in the fifth.
33 pins up.
That was a perfect and right in the pocket. Johnny Petraglia picking up the strike in the sixth, 106 pins through the fifth, the strike in the sixth. Petraglia not very big, 5'11", 145 pounds. Great year. 5 titles this year, including the $25,000 first prize in that Tournament of Champions. Gary Dickinson. And he's up into it.
Oh.
Looks like he hit up a little high from here. Now, would that have left that pin standing?
That is one of the taps that you really cannot actually put your finger on them, but really what happens that the 1 pin and a 2 pin come together and they bounce off each other, so naturally that's what happens when the ball goes right alongside of it and can't carry. He's laid the ball into the pocket twice in a row, and he hasn't got to get.
And Dickinson picks up his spare in the sixth, 72 pins through the fifth, the spare in the sixth. Gary had a great
rookie season in 1969, runner-up to Larry Leckstein, who's the Rookie of the Year that season. And right in the pocket for Gary Dickinson with a strike. Gary Dickinson with a strike. 92 pins in the sixth, and we'll be right back with the Brunswick World Open right after this message.
Refreshment can make winding down pretty nice. Cold mountain streams or cold beer. Refresh with the one that's too good to hurry through.
If you've got the time, we've got the beer, Miller beer. Miller tastes too good to hurry through. But when it's time to relax, Miller stands clear. Beer after beer. If you've got the time, you've got the time. We've got the beer. Miller beer. If you've got the time.
I could never say too much about this gentleman here that you are viewing. He's one of the pioneers of bowling, and especially with our great company of Brunswick, and also he is also a helper of the bowling game and the president of the bowling division, Mr. Milt Rudo.
We've got quite a match here. Mr. Rudo's looking on it. Dickinson trailing Petraglio now, and Petraglia, having started off with 2 strikes, and missed his strike shot anyway on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th frames, came back with a strike in the 6th. He's 106 pins through the 5th, working on a strike.
Bingo.
And a lot of pin action. Petraglia doubling up.
He's really going through that shot now. Watch how his hand finishes up clear above his head. He's going through a full thrust of follow-through, and he's got that ball rolling fantastically.
Looks like he lays it down right on the foul line almost.
Not only that, he's got a long way to go from that foul line clear to that pocket. With such an extreme outside angle.
And we had a little momentary disturbance here. Some little kids traveling through the lobby, not knowing that a World Open Boating Championship is going on in here. Johnny Petraglia backed away a little bit, trying to regain his concentration now.
That's the smartest thing in the world to do, is to back off until everything is quiet.
He must have backed off and got the right message.
I did the thing.
Petraglia, 136 in the 6th. Working on a double.
It's amazing. A young fellow like him that has such great concentration and composure.
And this man's work is cut out for him, Gary Dickinson. And right in the pocket. Dickinson with a strike in the 7th and in the 8th. Working on a double, 92 pins in the 6th. His best previous finish was a 2nd place to his opponent today, Johnny Petraglia, in the New Orleans tournament this year.
Well, Gary could still make a good game out of this if he keeps striking. Look out.
It's over. Yeah. Got it on the top side. How many different names are there for that hit, Buzz?
Well,
the Brooklyn side?
Yeah, you can call it Brooklyn, but he just stole 20 pins on that one.
Petraglia wouldn't agree it was a Brooklyn side then, being from Brooklyn. Just missing. 7 pin.
Solid hit for 9. He picks up his spare. He'll be 33 pins.
Petraglia now bowling in the 9th frame. 165 through the 7th. And he picks it up. 185 through the 8th. And working on a spare in the 9th. Petraglia will finish up on the left alley. Well, as you can see, Johnny Petraglia with a spare, working on a spare in the 9th, now bowling in his 10th frame.
All he needs is actually a mark. He needs a mark, that's all. With a big count, and he's got this game won.
And that's the big mark. That's the biggest one you can get, isn't it?
That's the winner of the first game.
Johnny Petraglia. Great, great year. Won over $80,000, breaking the old record by over $13,000. Also, Don Johnson in this tournament broke the old record, too. And he left the 7 pin. And if he picks it up, and about a 225.
Those 3 hits. 3 times he left the 7 pin. Very good.
Covered it all the way. Johnny Petraglia from Brooklyn, New York.
Gary can go all the way for 212.
Rolled right down the middle of them. Dickinson bowling now in his 10th frame. And there's the man that was waiting to meet Johnny Petraglia, Mike McGrath, who finished 3rd in the qualifying, and he will take on Johnny Petraglia. And Dickinson picks up his spare in the 10th, but no chance to overtake Johnny Petraglia, who is now moved into the 3rd match against Mike McGrath. He'll be rather against the 3rd qualifier, Mike McGrath.
Well, Kyle, anytime you open up with 2 spares, and miss them, you're going to give the other guy a chance. There's no way to catch up.
And Dickinson picking up 8 pins on the last ball. 189. Johnny Petraglia, a 225. Petraglia moves now into the match against Mike McGrath. McGrath having finished 3rd, Petraglia 4th. Gary Dickinson was 5th. And there's Johnny Petraglia, who has now moved up to qualify to meet Mike McGrath, as still ahead of them, Don Johnson, the 2nd qualifier, and Larry Lobb, the leading qualifier. And we'll be right back with the Brunswick World Open right after this message.
Is my blueberry sling ready?
So are your rally bag and shoes.
It's my new Brunswick sling.
With the Crown Score tracer.
Sling, I love you. Oh, Sling. Come back, you little average razor. You don't have to be a pro to bowl like one.
The Fling by Brunswick, for pretty pros like yourself. The ball, Brunswick's custom LTD, the finest bowling ball in the world. The bowler, Pro Dave Sutar, 3-time All-American. Put them together. The ball, Brunswick's custom LTD, custom top weights to help raise your score. The bowler, Joe Lindstrom, just a guy who loves bowling. Put them together.
Even if you're not a pro, bowl with the best. Brunswick's custom LTD.
Hey, that's my ball, too.
Shouldn't it be yours?
Johnny Petraglia on the left for Brooklyn, New York, having defeated Gary Dickinson, has earned the right now to face Mike McGrath of El Cerrito, California, in this next match, as they both move up the ladder toward a championship of the Brunswick World Open Bowling Tournament. This is Mike McGrath.
The battle of the left-handers.
And Mike McGrath opens with a strike. Not only a battle of left-handers, but a battle of fellows just about the same size. Petraglia at 145, 5'11". Mike McGrath, 5'11", 155. He's got him outweighed by about 6 pounds.
They don't know it, but I know about this Mike McGrath. He runs a few miles every morning. Stays in shape that way. Because it isn't all peaches and cream when you're bowling on tour.
He hit it in there good. Right up into the head pin.
Okay. I've been around bowling a long, long time, but I've never thought anyone would ever come up with a way to eliminate keeping score. That Brunswick automatic score is really something else.
Does a lot of addition real quick, huh? If you're a good bowler, I mean. Johnny Petraglia. Petraglia leaving that 7-pin standing. That was that same shot that you were talking about in that opening game with Dickinson, that he kept leaving that 7-pin several times.
Believe it or not, Carl, you know, as good as it looked, if he was just maybe a half a board, maybe an eighth of an inch shorter, he would swish that right out of there.
Does he think about just what you said right now, maybe considering doing that?
I believe he does, because he's a full-fledged pro. He knows what he can do with that ball.
And Petraglia picks up his spare in the second.
But as you know, they will not make a drastic change because it's a short game. You know, I only get to throw 10 balls. So naturally, if you make a drastic change, you'll liable to get in trouble.
Mike McGrath, a new father about 10 days ago. And he's high. And he leaves a 2. How would you compare their two styles, Buzz?
Well, the style comparatively because of Mike throwing the ball direct. Well, Mike works, Johnny works the ball and breaks it in. And John goes, Mike has to do more of an accuracy shot.
And McGrath picks up his spare, so they're flat even right now. And you see McGrath with a spare in the second. Petraglia with a spare in the second. Mike McGrath and his wife Sandy, as we mentioned, birthed their baby girl about 10 days ago. Mike's won 5 PBA titles, most notable of which were the back-to-back national championships in 1969 and 70. And then Mike McGrath trying to hold off the challenge of Johnny Petraglia. Petraglia having defeated Dickinson, 225 pins to 189. Ooh, and that's the first split that we have had. There's Johnny Petraglia. There you can see the score, how it stands. McGrath with a split in the third. Petraglia now bowling in the third, working on a spare.
He can go into about a 14-pin lead right here if he strikes.
Really lifts up on that ball. That's what you call a lot of wood, a lot of action.
He's got a lot of action on that ball, and you notice the difference between him and Mike's shot that time. Mike turned both times, like he lost his footing. And Johnny stayed right down and gave it all he could.
And that was, as you say, a big strike for Petraglia there in the third. Johnny Petraglia of Brooklyn, now bowling in the fourth, having knocked off Gary Dickinson in the first match.
time he had the ball rolling a little more so he can get away from leaving that 7-pin, and it come up and left the 6.
He's really working on that pin. That's
Yes, he is.
certainly concerning him quite a bit.
Got a 14-pin lead if people...
And Petraglia picks up his spare in the 4th. Petraglia with a spare in the 4th. McGrath with a split in the 3rd. And we'll be right back with the Brunswick World Open right after this message.
See what I'm wearing on my wrist? It's worth 10, maybe 20 extra pins a game. It's called the Lift True Wrist Support. It keeps your wrist from breaking when you roll the ball. And that's especially important for you women. A firm wrist means greater ball control, higher scores. Get yourself a Lift True today. Give your bowling average a real lift.
Lift True Bowling Aid, distributed by King Louis, sold at most bowling centers.
This is Firestone's new asymmetrical Town & Country winter tire with 3 separate tread sections and room for 112 ice-gripping studs. The tire to start you, stop you, steer you through the worst winter weather. Now when you buy one, you get the second one at 50% off regular exchange price plus federal excise tax at all participating Firestone dealers and stores. If you already have them on your rear wheels, get a pair for the front. Once you feel how you stop and steer with these tires on every wheel, you'll never be without them in winter again.
Mr. Hal Myers, Director of Marketing Services, just recently come back from the Soviet Union introducing the game of bowling for Brunswick.
And here we have Mike McGrath. He is 46 pins through the 3rd. Had a split in the 3rd. And Mike McGrath, leaving one up there, as we said, he had a split in the 3rd. He's 46. He's 14 pins behind.
As you notice, he readjusted that time because the last time he was on this lane, he went in high, same as he did on the other lane.
And McGrath covering that all the way with the spare in the 9th. And they are just about 14 points difference, as you can see. 60 for Petraglia in the 3rd, working on a spare, or in the 2nd, working on a spare. 3rd, working on a spare, and McGrath with 46 in the 3rd, working on a spare in the 4th.
That's a shame. That was a good, solid hit. Very good. Margin of 15 pins.
Very steady. Picks up his 10 pin, picks up his spare. And again, this is a spot where Petraglia can pull away. Good opportunity for him. We covered that. Petraglia with a strike in the 5th. On top of his spare he was working on, he has 80 in the 4th, strike in the 5th, strike in the 6th. And McGrath with 65 in the 4th, working on a spare in the 5th. And this is Petraglia working on a
15-pin
double.
lead. He's got a chance to pick up 10 more right here.
Using a little body English there to talk that ball into the pocket, it looked like.
He felt sure of that one.
And you can tell Mike McGrath, he knows he's got his hands full now. Petraglia, 3 strikes in a row, 5th, 6th, 7th frames. McGrath working on a spare in the 5th. He has 65 pins through the 4th. almost tell when he laid it on the alley. He was unhappy with it, Buzz.
That's right, because all of a sudden he lost his foot and he turned sideways, so naturally the bowler ball went back into the nose.
And you brought up a very good point. There's only one game. It's not the best of 3 or 5. It's at one opportunity. 9 pins for McGrath. He is 91 through the 6th. Petraglia is 110 through the 5th, working on a double. And we'll be right back with the Brunswick World Open right after this message.
Come on, Mom, you're shot. Okay, give me some room, boys.
Okay, what's this one?
There. Not bad, Dad.
Hey!
I love this game, Harry.
I love our Brunswick table.
Really the best, Dad?
It's what the pros use. Think your mom could make those shots in any other?
Brunswick billiard tables. Some pros can't wait to get them home.
Is my blueberry fling ready?
So are your rally bag and shoes.
It's my new Brunswick fling.
With the crown score tracer.
Fling, I love you. Oh, Fling. Come back, you little average razor. You don't have to be a pro to bowl like one.
The Fling by Brunswick. For pretty pros like yourself.
And Johnny Petraglia has just put together 2 more strikes. He has 4 in a row through the 8th. He has 80 in the 4th and 4 straight strikes. This is McGrath. McGrath leaving 2 pins up and time running out.
He lost his timing completely, which is very commonly done because the guy breaks out on top with 4 or 5 strikes in a row. Makes you rush. Oh.
And to add insult to injury, picked that one right off.
That's an oddity. Chop the 3 off the 6 for a left-hander.
And Mike McGrath is now 119 pins through the 8th frame. No chance at all. McGrath. Striking in the 9th. Johnny Petraglia. Now he's got lacking on 4 straight strikes.
Possible 260 game if he keeps striking.
Ooh. Just left that 6 pin. And now Petraglia with 169 through the 7th. He'll be 180 something in the 8th. And Johnny Petraglia has wrapped this one up. Johnny Petraglia with 4 straight strikes, a spare. And you can see there some of the other scores and how they finished. And there's the money earned thus far. Pappas, 1150. Lampo, 1050. And Petraglia leaving the 10 pin now. He was having trouble with the 7 earlier.
He's just keeping the ball light so he can get his spare break. For 229 for picking up this spare.
And Johnny Petraglia finishes it out with a 229. And Mike McGrath, who had finished the qualifying as the 3rd leading qualifier, is now relegated to the sidelines as Petraglia gets ready to face Don Johnson. Johnson having been the number 2 qualifier.
Possible 168.
And there's Don Johnson awaiting his turn. They say he was the second leading qualifier behind Larry Lobb. And he is awaiting his turn to take on Johnny Petraglia. And there it is. And he finishes with a 168. Petraglia with a 229. No contest as Petraglia moves on. And we'll be right back with the Brunswick World Open right after this message.
This year, Firestone can stop you cold, start you cold, help you steer your way through winter weather. New Firestone asymmetrical town and country tires have an open traction section to help you start or stop. Center Z-bars for stability and mileage. Stable traction section to help your steering control. Holds a third more ice-gripping studs than any tire we've made before. Firestone asymmetrical town and country tires at your Firestone dealer or store now.
The ball, Brunswick's custom LTD, the finest bowling ball in the world. The bowler, Pro Dave Sutar, 3-time All-American. Put them together. The ball, Brunswick's custom LTD, custom top weights to help raise your score. The bowler, Joe Lindstrom, just a guy who loves bowling. Put them together.
Even if you're not a pro, bowl with the best. Brunswick's custom LTD.
Hey, that's my ball, too.
Shouldn't it be yours?
You know, this is the first tournament in history that's being scored automatically. With Brunswick's great, no automatic score.
And we have some match coming up for that automatic score to operate for, because this is the match where both of these bowlers are greatly in the running for Bowler of the Year honors. Had either one of them failed to make these finals, it would have had, I'm sure, a direct bearing on the voting a little bit. And now they're faced head-on. And he opened it up with a strike. Johnny Petraglia opening up on the left lane. Don Johnson, we mentioned, the second leading qualifier, 31 years old. Makes his home in Akron, Ohio, which is the home of the PBA. They call him Coco. In Kokomo, Indiana. And he is right in the pocket, too. Two distinct different styles, Buzz. He's
quite
right
a
over in the
story
middle.
about this angle that he's using lately. He started it last night in the finals. He moved out to the second arrow, where before he was inside the third arrow, like everybody else was. And he starts stroking and he starts carrying, and he's been there ever since. And by the indication of that shot, looks like he's still on the beam.
Well, this should be a real head-on battle. Don Johnson, Johnny Petraglia. And he's right up into the pocket again. Don Johnson starting off with a double.
Mr. Perpetual Motion. Seems like he always comes up for that great big tournament. Which isn't bad to take.
No, sir. Johnny Petraglia.
Okay.
And Petraglia was equal to the challenge that Johnson laid out.
The Vice President of Operation for Brunswick, in charge of 190 bowling establishments all over the country, and doing a wonderful, great job, Bernie Rudo.
Johnny Petraglia hit high. He was lucky to get away with that 7 getting out. He had been missing that 7. Well, to show you the competition here, that's the first frame we've had where we haven't had a strike. And Petraglia picks up his spare in the third. 48 in the second, spare in the third. Mentioning those strikes, we have had a couple of 300 games bowled here this week. Larry Lechstein did it on Tuesday. Dave Sutar turned the trick yesterday.
One more time.
Johnson with a triple.
Puts him 12 pins up.
How can a bowler, Buzz, afford to make a change for one game, one that carries the importance this one has? Brunswick World Open right after this message.
There ought to be a time in every day when a man can truly relax. Pick a place, a good friend or two, and a great beer.
When it's time to relax, never stands clear. Beer after beer. If you've got the time, if you've got the time, we've got the beer. If you've got the time.
Come on, Mom, your shot. Okay, give me some room, boys.
Okay, what's this one?
There. Not bad, Dad.
Hey!
I love this game, Harry.
I love our Brunswick table.
Really the best, Dad?
It's what the pros use. Think your mom could make those shots in any other?
Brunswick billiard tables. Some pros can't wait to get them home.
Johnny Petraglia facing Don Johnson. Petraglia spared in the fourth. He's now rolling in the fifth.
Oh, two solid smashes. Left the sixth, and now the sixth 10 on two good perfect shots.
What does he do now, Buzz? Can he afford to start experimenting?
No, he can't. All he has to do is just reach a little more.
Petraglia picking up his spare in the fifth. Petraglia 85 pins through the fourth, the spare. And Johnson working on 4 straight strikes. And he's in. And that looked as good as the other 4, Buzz.
How true. Again, I think that he tried to throw that ball just a little bit looser, and the ball didn't quite go all the way through, and kicked that 6 right up over top of 10. Cuts the margin down to 24 pins.
Johnson picking up his spare. Johnson sparing in the fifth after 4 straight strikes. He is 109 pins through a 4th frame and a spare. He'll be bowling on the left lane. As Johnny Petraglia in the striped shirt behind him knows he has to get that ball working, or he will be on the sideline soon. Johnson trying to keep the pressure up. In the pocket again. Strike for Johnson in the 6th, 129 in the 5th. And now Johnny Petraglia. He has 85 pins through the 4th, a spare in the 5th.
As you notice, that last shot that Johnson shot looked like the other one when he left the 10. This time he went out about a board or 2. Okay.
Petraglia trailing by about 24 pins.
That's 3 straight hits. I believe that 6 pin, or a combination of 6 and 10.
Johnny Petraglia picks up his spare in the sixth, 104 pins through the fifth. And you can see the Johnson 129 through the fifth. He leads by about 25 pins over Petraglia at this point.
He's got to start striking here.
With the strike in the seventh. 129 in the sixth with a strike in the seventh. And we'll be right back with the Brunswick World Open right after this message.
Is my blueberry sling ready?
So are your rally bag and shoes.
It's my new Brunswick sling.
With the crown score tracer.
Sling, I love you. Oh, Sling. Come back, you little average razor. You don't have to be a pro to bowl like one.
The Fling by Brunswick, for pretty pros like yourself.
The ball, Brunswick's custom LTD, the finest bowling ball in the world. The bowler, Pro Dave Sutar, 3-time All-American. Put them together. The ball, Brunswick's custom LTD, custom top weights to help raise your score. The bowler, Joe Lindstrom, just a guy who loves bowling. Put them together.
Even if you're not a pro, bowl with the best. Brunswick's Custom LTD.
Hey, that's my ball, too.
Shouldn't it be yours?
Don Johnson, the second leading qualifier, now successfully holding off the bid of Johnny Petraglia. Petraglia having defeated Dickinson in the first match. And now Johnson with about a 25-pin edge through 5 frames. Johnson bowling in the 7th frame. He had a strike in the 6th. There's a double for Johnson. 129 in the 5th and 2 strikes. And he just picked up 10 more pins and his advantage over Petraglia right now. Petraglia, 124 through the 6th, working on a strike in the 7th. Johnson, 129 in the 5th, working on a double.
He's thrown 7 straight balls, solid in that pocket. He could have had all of them.
And Johnson with a triple. Strikes in the 6th, 7th, and 8th. And about a 45-pin advantage. Is that right, Buzz?
Right, correct. Johnny's got to keep going all the way to make him mark. Keep marking. Because he's got a potential chance of 242.
Johnny Petraglia, who along with his opponent, Don Johnson, are the 2 leading money winners in the tour. As we mentioned earlier, Petraglia having already broken the record, as well as Johnson. But Petraglia out over 80,000 in money earned thus far. Johnson about 67,000.
Yeah, I don't think Johnny can lose that title. He'll be the high money winner of the year.
And Petraglia finally coming in. And Don Johnson gets ready to try to match that double. There's Eddie Elias, the founder of the Professional Bowlers Association some 13 years ago, and has that particular organization grown, as you well know, Buzz.
That's our great white father.
And that's the first bad ball he's thrown. If it was indeed a bad ball, I don't mean to
Come
judge.
over the
You tell
top
me.
on that one. It was one of those shots I don't think he was really set before he threw that ball. And he got up there and he just overturned it and let loose of it and went straight in the nose.
Don taken 5 titles, including last week's competition at Detroit. And that is close. Beautiful try, trying to send that 6-pin over.
With just that one bad shot there, the game is now completely even.
And as Buzz Fazio has just pointed out, the game is just about even.
About 10 pins difference right now.
10 pins in favor of Johnson. Johnson bowling in the 10th frame. Had that split in the ninth.
Possibly end up in a tie, Kyle. 244 to 244.
Well, if
they
it
both
does,
go all the way.
They just keep bowling, I think. They start off with as though they're bowling the 9th and 10th frames. Going for the first place money of $12,000 and sitting way, way over there on the sideline, Larry Lobb. Top qualifier, sitting here waiting until they all work their way up to him for that final challenge. Don Johnson.
It's a must strike.
And he only picked up 9. Johnson with a strike in the 10th.
It's a must strike.
9 pins on that first ball. He'll be 233.
234.
234 if he picks
up this spare. That makes Johnny have to take 2 strikes. The 10th frame to cover.
And he covers it, picks up the final pin for a 234 for Don Johnson.
He needs a strike, and we might still have a tie game. But he must have this strike to keep him in the ball game.
And if he throws 2 consecutive strikes.
Too high. It's a shame.
Came in too high, Buzz. And there he is. A very disappointed Johnny Petraglia on your right. And there's Don Johnson, who now knows he has a chance to go into that final match with Larry Lobb for $12,000 for one match, one game, $12,000 to the first place money. Johnny Petraglia.
Margin of 12 pins.
And down low, missed it. The competitors shake their hands. Don Johnson advances to the finals, and we'll be right back with the Brunswick World Open right after this message.
Have you ever seen what happens to most Firestone stores and dealers at Christmas time? It's enough to give you ideas for all the somebodies on your list. Somebody who will think of you every time this Westclock's 24-hour electric timer turns something on or off. Somebody who will remember you when this Regal Princess electric coffee maker perks away. Somebody who'd like this handsome, scuff-resistant vinyl overnighter bag. It's Christmas time at Firestone with gifts for all kinds of somebodies. And at most stores, you can charge them on any one of 3 credit cards.
See what I'm wearing on my wrist? It's worth 10, maybe 20 extra pins a game. It's called the Lift True Wrist Support. It keeps your wrist from breaking when you roll the ball. And that's especially important for you women. A firm wrist means greater ball control, higher scores. Get yourself a Lift True today. Give your bowling average a real lift.
Lift True Bowling Aid, distributed by King Louis, sold at most bowling centers.
Right now, ladies and gentlemen, to make a special presentation, the man who 13 years ago founded the Professional Bowlers Association, Eddie Elias.
Thank you, Kyle. 11 years ago, when the PBA was just a mere infant, at the time we were just 2 years old, we had a desperate situation. We came to the Brunswick Corporation and had an opportunity to meet this gentleman at my left here. Since that time, he's been a great friend. His contributions to professional bowling are many. We have given 3 of these awards in our 13-year history. The 4th award goes to our pal, Mr. Milt Rudo, for your valuable contribution to the growth of the PBA in professional bowling. From the Professional Bowlers of America, signed by our president, Mr. Buzz Fazio, by myself, the founder, and Milt Rudo. Once more, thank you for everything you've done for us in our 13
Firestone stores and dealers at Christmas time. It's enough to give you ideas for all the somebodies on your list. Somebody who will think of you every time this Westclock's 24-hour electric timer turns something on or off. Somebody who will remember you when this Regal Princess electric coffee maker perks away. Somebody who'd like this handsome scuff-resistant vinyl overnighter bag. It's Christmas time at Firestone with gifts for all kinds of somebodies. And at most stores, you can charge them on any one of 3 credit cards.
See what I'm wearing on my wrist? It's worth 10, maybe 20 extra pins a game. It's called the Lift True Wrist Support. It keeps your wrist from breaking when you roll the ball. And that's especially important for you women. A firm wrist means greater ball control, higher scores. Get yourself a Lift True today. Give your bowling average a real lift.
Lift True Bowling Aid, distributed by King Louis, sold at most bowling centers.
Right now, ladies and gentlemen, to make a special presentation, the man who 13 years ago founded the Professional Bowlers Association, Eddie Elias.
Thank you, Kyle. 11 years ago, when the PBA was just a mere infant, the time we were just 2 years old, we had a desperate situation. We came to the Brunswick Corporation and had an opportunity to meet this gentleman at my left here. Since that time, he's been a great friend. His contributions to professional bowling are many. We have given 3 of these awards in our 13-year history. The 4th award goes to our pal, Mr. Milt Rudo, for your valuable contribution to the growth of the PBA in professional bowling. From the Professional Bowlers of America, signed by our president, Mr. Buzz Fazio, by myself, the founder, and Milt Rudo. Once more, thank you for everything you've done for us in our 13 years. And we hope that you're around another 13 years, just in case we need you.
Thank you, Eddie. It's quite a surprise, and I think your contribution and your organization's contribution to bowling has been tremendous in your 13 years. And I think the size of this crowd and the TV and everything else that's been done speaks for itself. It's my pleasure to have been of help to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Milt. We appreciate it.
Eddie Elias and Milt Rudo, a well-deserved acknowledgement for the president of the Brunswick Corporation. Right now, while our bowlers are getting ready for our final match to determine the winner, Don Johnson against the qualifying leader, Larry Lobb. Buzz, any comments on the man we have yet to see today, and that is the top qualifier, Larry Lobb? Advantage or disadvantage to have been waiting on the sidelines all this time?
About 8 weeks ago, he borrowed a ball from Bobby Cooper, and he's been using it ever since. And since that time, he has won a tournament and has been bowling fantastically well. And here we are at the head of the heap right now.
Well, now, does he have a disadvantage from one standpoint that he has been sitting on the sidelines and these other fellows are sort of in the groove now?
Personally, I don't think so, because I've been in that situation before myself, and whether you start at the bottom of the heap, you know, and then come on working up, or by just waiting till the challenger is awarded to bowl you, and then you're fresh, you can go. If you keep you can really go to town right there.
Well, we're all set for this final match to determine the champion of the Brunswick World Open. We have Don Johnson challenging the top qualifier, Larry Lobb. Lobb, 28 years old, makes his home in San Francisco. Johnson will start off on the left lane. Lobb apparently wanting to finish up on that left lane. Lobb's option as to how they start. This is Johnson. Johnson with a tough break compared to the way he started that last match against Petraglia.
Well, he threw the ball just a super. Just one of those things when the ball goes right through the pins, because the ball picks up an extra roll when it hits the pins, and that's what's the results of it.
Well, as you know, Buzz, this is it. There's no tomorrow. is the last one game for $12,000 to the winner, $7,000 to the loser. As Johnson goes to pick this up. Just missing. Trying to slide that two.
You can't come any closer without making it, I can tell you.
And so that
That's a
opens
bad
the
break.
gate. Opens the gate a little bit for Larry Lobb, top qualifier. And again, we see a different style. And leaves 2, 4, and 7. And here's Larry Lobb. Very soft-spoken fellow, very respected as a tough competitor on the Pro Tour. Lobb picks up his spare. And here is Larry Lobb. And found his line right to the pocket. Lobb covering his spare with a strike. He's completed 2 frames. Johnson with a split in that first frame. Now bowling in his second frame.
There's quite a similarity to their style, Kyle, or angle, I should say.
There's a good high follow-through. He wanted to keep that as close to that outside as possible. I'm sure he thought he might have come across it too much.
Now, there's the same hit that he had on the first frame. You notice how the 4-pin tripped? So that ball's set in the pocket. The other one cut through.
Don Johnson, who defeated Johnny Petraglia, now bowling in the third frame. And right in the pocket for Johnson. Johnson now with a double after that split in the first.
Mr. Dick Letterman, Vice President of Service for Brunswick.
And Larry Lobb. And another beautiful ball by Larry Lobb. Lobb won his first PBA title at Tucson, Arizona last year. His second championship came just about 4 weeks ago, Lincoln, Nebraska Open. And it's about 11-pin difference now. Lobb has an about 11-pin advantage at this point. And you saw it, the 10-pin, just not getting that wood action over there.
What a drive. That ball really drove hard.
And Larry Lobb picking up his spare, and we'll be right back with the Brunswick World Open right after this message.
Come on, Mom, your shot. Okay, give me some room, boys.
Okay, watch this one.
There. Not bad, Dad.
Hey!
I love this game, Harry.
I love our Brunswick table.
Really the best, Dad?
It's what the pros use. Think your mom could make those shots in any other?
Brunswick billiard tables. Some pros can't wait to get them home.
After the rush and crush of the day, that's when you finally have time to appreciate a great beer. Miller.
When it's time to relax, Miller stands clear. Beer after beer. If you've got the time, if you've got the time, beer after beer. Miller beer. If you've got the time.
Don Johnson, who has advanced to the finals here by beating Johnny Petraglia, now taking on Larry Lobb. Johnson bowling
Tie
now
ball
in the
game.
fourth
Strikes
frame.
here.
Ooh, and look at that. We really got some action there, Buzz.
How he had that ball coming in light and just splattered him. The match is even.
All even through 4 frames. Johnson with a triple. Lobb working on a spare in the 4th. We also might point out that today's show will be seen by armed forces throughout the world next week. First time any bowling tournament of national importance will have been seen by our servicemen. And not getting the action he was getting earlier in his match against Petraglia. Johnson leaving up that 10-pin. And there is Mrs. Dawn Johnson watching her husband. A bit concerned because of that 10-pin.
I think Marianne works harder back there watching her husband bowl than Don does.
Well, when you think it's all wrapped up in one game. As he picks up his spare, Johnson with the spare in the 5th. He's now 88 pins through the 4th. He's down about 1 pin through 4 frames. And this is Larry Lobb.
Okay.
Last year picked up about $15,000 in competition.
Okay, regardless what he gets?
And
Yeah,
just
now.
as Don Johnson had done a moment ago, he left the 10-pin standing.
Just think, with the automatic scores, you may have extra time to really concentrate on your game and relax more, too. She'll put the ball back into bowling and a lot more fun in the game.
And Larry Lobb taking up that 10-pin, very nice spare. And again, this match all even, 88 for both competitors through the 4th frame, each with a spare in the 5th. Well, they have 4 frames, 5 frames to go, Buzz, for $12,000. Fresh ball game.
It's interesting to see what he's going to do on this ball, because last time he left the 10-pin. Oh, he dropped
He seemed
it.
to have dropped it. There could be
And he
action
got
to go.
back. He left a swishing 7.
Larry Lobb. Been bothered by sort of chronic ailing back. Bob getting his spare in the 6th. And now it's an opportunity for Don Johnson to pick up some balls. A lot of action with that head pin. Seemed a little high in the pocket.
He's got that shot down so perfect. 1 pin.
One pin lead through 5 frames, but with Johnson's strike in the 6th, it changes it a little bit.
He's got a possible chance to pick up about 10 pins right here if he strikes.
Again, hitting high up in that pocket. That ball really drives right through there, doesn't it?
He come up there and just set perfectly.
And as you said, he's just picked up 10 more pins. He is now 11 pins.
Right. Minus 10.
There it is. Up into the pot.
There's the same thing.
You can see it. Number 7.
The 5 going in front of the 7, failing to nudge it over.
Larry Lobb.
He's down 12 pins. May pick up his spare.
Been sitting on the sidelines all day watching them work their way up to the top to face him in this final match. As Larry Lobb picks up his spare in the 7th. Lobb with 126 through the 6th. working on a spare in the 7th.
This must be, have to be a strike for him. He's got to get a strike here.
And he did. Very lob. And Don Johnson really battling down to the wire on this final one game, $12,000 to the winner. Well, it's about 12 pin difference. Johnson about 12 pins in front of Lob. And a big strike for Johnson, Buzz.
Do you believe that he was in 17th spot yesterday evening?
In his last 8 games, in 7 of them, he averaged over 250 in 7 of those 8 games.
I'll tell you one thing, that's really stroking. He's home again.
Yep. Johnson with the strike. In the 9th. 4 strikes in a row. Actually, Johnson has
32 pins.
7 strikes, 32 pins difference now. Lob down 32 pins at this point. And he finally got his ball working into the right pocket. Found his line. Lob with a strike. Makes it 22 pin difference now as they move into this 10th frame. Down 22 pins.
Possible 236 if he strikes out here.
Well, he left that possibility wide open, Buzz.
On 11 now. See, he can get 236. That'll make Johnson mark with a big count.
Johnson, remember, has 4 strikes going into the 10th, working on 4 strikes. He's cut his deficit down to 11 pins.
Look out. Ooh, did that set perfect.
That really did it. Now, if we had a shot of Mrs. Johnson, I'm sure she'd really see some concern. Larry Lobb, who came from
10.
about 32 pins down. And he needs to pick up all of them. And he's up in that pocket again. Larry Lobb with a tremendous effort striking out. The last 5 balls he threw were strikes, striking out from the 8th on.
And Coco needs 9 spare strike for 1 pin win. If he gets a strike here, it's all over.
What would hurt him would be that split. And he throws that ball down the middle, too. Ooh, and he just escaped a split.
You get the spare and tie.
He gets the spare.
Spare and strike, he can tie.
And then
So we can have a roll-off.
As I say, our roll-off would be as though they were starting in the 9th frame. Don Johnson just had a tremendous challenge hurled at him by Larry Lobb. Johnson picking up his spare in the 10th. And Buzz says he needs a strike.
What's the odds, Soupy?
And there's Larry Lobb as he watching that scoreboard and also watching Don Johnson. If Johnson gets a strike,
it's a tie.
We have a tie. And it is quiet. He's in it. And he did it. Tie. Ball game will start immediately with Larry Lobb on the left lane. There's Mrs. Johnson. And she, like a lot of people here, have seen some great bowling by Don Johnson, Larry Lobb. Johnson well out in front, trailing, or rather leading by 30 pins, and Larry Lobb came back to make up that deficit and put the pressure on Johnson. He had to come through with a strike on that last ball to throw this match into a tie.
Here we go.
And here we go. And he is a little high. Buzz looked like he got off into the left side a little too much.
Yes, he dropped that ball. It didn't go through the shot at all.
Well, you can appreciate the fact that we have 2 frames to bowl, as though you're bowling the 9th and 10th frames. And Lobb starts off with a spare. And if you think bowling 1 complete game for $12,000 is something, how about bowling 2 complete frames for $12,000?
And we can get a tie here, and we can go just 1 frame.
He's up high.
Oh. Both laid the ball real short.
Johnson, Don Johnson, finished second qualifier.
No. We're still in the ball
Behind.
game. It still
Larry
isn't
Lobb.
over with yet.
Johnson with the 7-6-10 split. And he's tremendous. Don Johnson with a tremendous pickup of the 6-7-10 split. And look at Don Johnson having come all that way. And it all means so much in that 1 ball that he just threw. Tremendous, tremendous effort. I know, Buzz, you have had that same feeling somewhere along the way in your career, and it must be something tremendous.
She's going to faint. Here we go.
Few tears of happiness for Miss Johnson, Mrs. Johnson. And here we go.
Now, this is like bowling at a 10th frame. And anything can happen. He's got a strike.
And Don Johnson has asked for a re-rack. And this is sort of it. Both of them having spares in the 9th in this new playoff.
Look out.
And he was up a little high, Buzz. And he left the 4-pin. As we are now into the 10th and final frame, the pressure, $12,000 to the winner, $7,000 to the loser. But these are the 2 finalists here in this Brunswick World Open. Don Johnson converts in the 10th. He'll have 1 additional ball to roll.
Very important ball. He's got a strike here to keep his hopes alive.
And he did.
He needs a strike and a spare to win. Was football like this, Kyle?
Not this type of pressure. Larry Lobb. Up high, too high.
Tie. He's got to get the spare and a strike. Spare and a strike for another tie.
Spare and a strike. Oh, another tie is right. is covered all the way.
One frame. He needs to get a strike here to stay in the game for a tie. And I believe, if I'm correct, then they'll ball one frame.
And then they'll probably have to get down to just bowling one ball. Here it is. All in this one. All in this one. Too thin. Too thin. Oh.
Johnson.
Don Johnson, the winner. Don Johnson, the winner of the Brunswick World Open Bowling Championship. And we'll be back to greet the winner and the Brunswick World Open right after this message.
This is Firestone's new asymmetrical Town and Country winter tire with 3 separate tread sections and room for 112 ice-gripping studs. The tire to start you, stop you, steer you through the worst winter weather. Now, when you buy one, you get the second one at 50% off regular exchange price plus federal excise tax at all participating Firestone dealers and stores. If you already have them on your rear wheels, get a pair for the front. Once you feel how you stop and steer with these tires on every wheel, you'll never be without them in winter again.
Is my blueberry fling ready?
So are your rally bag and shoes.
It's my new Brunswick fling.
With the Crown Score tracer.
Fling, I love you. Oh, Fling. Come back, you little average razor. You don't have to be a pro to bowl like one.
The Fling by Brunswick, for pretty pros like yourself.
And here we are, the winner, Don Tremendous.
Unbelievable. I just can't believe it. I'd just like to thank Brunswick for a fantastic tournament. They've had sellout crowds all week. Just great. Thank you.
And the lovely bride, congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, that's it.